Hello everyone, Matt here, hope you're all good. Welcome to episode 7 in my short licks guitar series. In this video, I've written a lick in the key of A MIXOLYDIAN and we're going to be using alternate picking for the most part of the lick. So let's break it down and see what's going on. So the A MIXOLYDIAN scale is the 5th mode of the major scale, and the MIXOLYDIAN mode is basically a major scale with a flattened 7th. So we're going to be using the notes A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, and G, which is the flat 7. So if you were playing the A major scale, you'd normally have a G sharp. So for the opening part of this lick, we're actually going to be using an A dominant 7 arpeggio. So we're going to be using the root note, the major 3rd, the perfect 5th, and then the flat 7. So we're going to be outlining that dominant 7 chord at the very start of the lick. So the whole thing begins on string 6, fret 5, which is A, and we're going to use the first finger, and we're going to pick that with a downward pick stroke, like so. Next up, we're going to use the pinky for C sharp on the 9th fret on the same string, and that will be with the upward picking direction. So put the first 2 notes together on string 6 and you'll have this. You'll need to make sure that you've got your thumb tucked behind the back of the neck. If you're used to holding the neck with the thumb over the top of the neck, you'll need to readjust that and get used to having it on the back of the neck so you can bring your hand forward underneath the neck and spread your fingers apart across from the 5th fret to the 9th in order to get that slightly awkward stretch. So those notes are A and C sharp. Following on from that, we're going to move on to the 5th string. We're going to use the middle finger now on the 5th string, and we're going to pick the note E on string 5 of the 7th fret, like this. So there's your major triad, A, C sharp, and E to start with. Then we're going to introduce G, which is the flat 7th in the key of A, and that will sound like this. So G is on the 4th string of the 5th fret, and we're picking that with an upward pick stroke and using the first finger. So now we have the first 4 notes of the run, and that will sound out the A dominant 7 arpeggio. So we're alternate picking all the way through there, down, up, down, up. We're then going to bring in the little finger on the 4th string on the 9th fret. So we're going to play the note B here on the 4th string, and that will be with a downstroke. All right, so we're outlining the 9th at that point. So let's put those notes together and see what that sounds like. So far we're going down, up, down, by the time you get to B on the 4th string of the 9th fret. So next up, we're going to move on to the 3rd string, and we're going to introduce the middle finger on the 3rd string of the 7th fret. This note's D, and we're going to pick that with an upward pick stroke. Straight after that, we're going to drop down to fret 6 for C sharp with a downward pick. So far in the phrase, we have this. So we're landing on the major 3rd at that point in the phrase, which is the C sharp. So outlining one of the chord tones within the A major chord. Next up, we're going to go back to the 4th string with the middle finger on the 7th fret. That's the root note A, and that will sound like this. We're going to pick that with an upward picking direction. And then we're going to drop down to the flat 7th again, which is G on the 4th string of the 5th fret, straight after the A on the 7th fret. So that will sound like this. So let's listen to what that sounds like with the first group of notes that we've learned so far. All right, so that's alternate picking all the way through. Rhythmically, we're going to be playing semiquavers, and you can fit 4 semiquavers into one beat, and you count that as 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and so that first group of notes will take up the first 2 beats of the bar and the first semiquaver on the 3rd beat. Let's have another listen to that. Okay, so after we've picked G on the 4th string, we're now going to jump to the 3rd string on the 9th fret to pick E with the little finger. That will sound like this. We're hitting that note with an upward picking direction. Straight after that, we're going to jump down to the middle finger on the 3rd string on the 7th fret for D. We're going to pick that with a downward pick stroke like this. Following on from D, we're going to drop down to the 1st finger on the 6th fret for C sharp with the upward pick stroke. So we've got a 3-note run there on the 3rd string. So E down to D and then C sharp. If you want to practice those 3 notes in isolation, just make sure you start with the upward picking direction on the 1st note, down on the D, and then up on the C sharp. Just so that when you get to that group of notes within the phrase, you're not going to stumble if you've been practicing that 1st note with a downstroke on E. Okay, once we played C sharp on the 3rd string, we're going to jump straight to the 2nd string now. Using the 3rd finger, we're going to grab G on the 2nd string of the 8th fret. And we're going to drop immediately down to the middle finger on the 7th fret for F sharp. So over the A backing track, you're highlighting the flat 7th, which is G, and then the major 6th, which is F sharp. So if we pull the notes together that we've covered so far, it will sound something like this. And don't forget to include the alternate picking as well with those notes. So after we've picked F sharp on the 2nd string on the 7th fret there, we're going to jump to the 1st string now, and we're going to grab the root note A on the 5th fret of the 1st string using the 1st finger. We're going to hit that note with a downward pick. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move back to the 2nd string where we came from earlier, and I'm going to go back to the 3rd finger here on G of the 8th fret. Again, we're going to drop down to F sharp on the 7th fret on the 2nd string. So we've got A on the 1st string, G on the 2nd string 8th fret, and then F sharp on the 2nd string 7th fret. Once you've done those notes, we're then going to move on to the 1st string again, but now we're going to grab C sharp on the 1st string of the 9th fret. Now I'm going to use the pinky here. So once you come out of that group of notes, A, G, F sharp, you'll find that your fingers will sort of line up nicely to grab that C sharp with the pinky straight after that. Let's check that out and see what that sounds like. Cool, so some nice little intervallic jumps there going from the F sharp on the 2nd string and then jumping across to C sharp. Once we played C sharp with the little finger, we're going to jump back to G again on the 2nd string, same place as before, fret number 8. That'll be with a downward pick, and then we're going to drop down to F sharp for another upward pick. That's going to be the last note in this area of the fretboard before we start moving up using a slide to take us further up the fretboard. So let's join all of those notes together and have a listen to what it sounds like in isolation at a slow tempo. There we go. So again, we're alternating the picking all the way through those notes. So just practice it nice and slowly to start with to get used to not only where the notes are and what fingers to use, but also to get used to the alternate picking all the way through as well, which takes a little bit of getting used to. So next up, after we've picked F sharp, we're going to do a slide now across the fretboard. It's going to be quite a long slide. We're going to jump from the 7th fret, F sharp, all the way up to fret 14. Let's see what that sounds like from F sharp. So best thing to do there is to actually look at the fret that you're going to slide to. Here it is again, and I'm going to focus on the 14th fret. Once you've done the slide, what we're then going to do is we're going to bend the note straight away when we get there. So you don't really hear the 14th fret for too long because we're going to bend up to the 15th fret. So a semitone bend when we get there. So that will sound like this. So we're going to hold that bend for a quaver once we get there, and then we're going to re-pick and bring the note back down. So that will sound like this with the slide. So if you want to work on your string bending and your pitching, go ahead and grab the 14th fret on the B string, pick it once and then move across a semitone to fret 15. Pick that note individually so you can hear what it sounds like. I'll just show you that quickly now. Then you can practice that bend from the 14th to 15th like this. That will just help you to sort of work on your pitching when you're sliding from all the way down here on F sharp on the 7th fret, all the way up to C sharp on the 14th fret, and then getting that bend up to D. There we go. Make sure you hold the bend so that then when we repick it, we still hear the note D again as we bring it out. And we're just bringing that semitone back down to C sharp on the 14th fret. Once we've finished that bend, we're then going to drop down to the 12th fret on the B string, which is the note B. We're going to pick that with a downward pick. Incidentally, we're sliding from F sharp with it, and the picking direction there will actually be an upstroke at the end of that group of notes in the first section. Obviously, we're not having to pick for the slide and the bend, but once we've finished the bend, we're going to pick that with a downstroke to bring it back out. And then the next pick will be a downward pick on the 12th fret. Okay, next up, we're going to move on to the 3rd string on the 14th fret. That will be with the middle finger, and that's going to be an upward pick stroke, and the note is A. After you've picked A, we're going to go back to the 2nd string. We're going to grab D on the 15th fret with the 3rd finger, and that'll be a downward pick stroke. So from the 12th fret on the B string, those 3 notes will sound like this. Then we're going to go back to the 14th fret with the middle finger on the 3rd string. That'll be an upstroke. Then you're going to drop down to the 12th fret for the next downward pick using the 1st finger. So that group of notes played together will sound like this. Following on from the 3rd string 12th fret, we're going to skip a note now. We're going to jump up to the 16th fret with the little finger. We're going to grab the note B, so we're grabbing that 9th again, and that'll be with the upward stroke like this. So that group of notes will now sound like this. After we've picked the 16th fret with the little finger, we're going to drop back down to the 14th fret on the 3rd string, using the middle finger with a downward pick. And then we're going to drop down to the 12th fret with an upward pick. That's using the 1st finger again on the 3rd string. So that group of notes now altogether will sound like this. Okay, following on from the 12th fret there, we're going to jump back to the 15th fret and we're going to use a downward pick stroke, and that's the 3rd finger on string 2. Again, we're going to go back to the middle finger now on the 14th fret on the 3rd string, and that'll be an upward pick stroke. And then we're going to drop back down to the 12th fret on the 3rd string with a downward pick stroke. And then we're going to, again, jump back up to the 9th here, the 9th being B. The fret number is fret 16. And that'll be an upward pick stroke with the little finger on the 3rd string. Okay, and then to finish off, we're going to do a bigger jump now all the way down to the 1st finger on the 11th fret, and we're going to do a semitone bend here. This is F sharp. We're going to bend up to G, which is the flat 7th, and that will sound like this. At that point, I'm going to be holding onto the neck with my thumb just to get the power behind that bend, as I'm only using one finger to pull the string. So we're going to be using a semitone bend, and then we're going to bring it back again to F sharp. So bending up to G and then back to F sharp, which will sound like this. Once you've done the bend up and bend down, add some vibrato at the end just to give it some extra vibes. So that will sound like this. So there's quite a lot of notes going on there in that little section. So I'll just play it from the 12th fret after that big slide on the second string. One more time, nice and slow. So let's have a little listen to all the notes so far before we jump into the last little run of notes. So when we get to the end of that group of notes with the string bend on the third string, when we bring the bend back down, that will actually fall on the third beat of the bar, and we're going to let it ring out for the third and the fourth beat. So that will be a minim for 2 beats where you'll be applying the vibrato. Then you're going to jump into the last group of notes, which starts on the 4th string using the first finger. We're going to be using a slightly different rhythm here. So far we've been mostly using semiquavers, but now we're going to jump into 6 tuplets, so 6 notes per beat in this little run. So we're going to be playing a little bit quicker than the previous passages. Just slow this down a little bit so you spend time working on the technique before sort of speeding it up too quickly. So we're going to grab the 4th string on the 11th fret using the first finger and picking that with a downward picking stroke. Next up, we're going to go to the 12th fret using the middle finger for the upward picking direction. And then we're going to add on the little finger on the 4th string of the 14th fret for the next downward pick. So altogether, those 3 notes will sound like this. Then we're going to jump onto the 3rd string to a note that we've already played previously, which is F sharp on the 3rd string 11th fret. That will be with the upward pick stroke using the first finger. And then what we're going to do is we're going to work our way back down the notes that we previously played. So we're going to go back to the little finger on the 14th fret of the 4th string. So that will sound like this. And we're going back there with a downward picking stroke. Then we're going to work our way back down to the middle finger on the 12th fret using an upward pick stroke. And then a downward pick on the 11th fret of the 4th string. So if we put that group of notes together, that will sound something like this. So we're using alternate picking all the way through those notes, working our way up and then back down that group of notes. And as I said before, it's got a 6 tuplet fill. So you're playing a group of 6 notes within the space of 1 beat. And it kind of has a sort of a galloping sound to it. So I'll count myself in and you'll get an idea of the feel of these notes played with 6 tuplets. 1 and 2 and a 3 and a 4 and... So quite a tricky run of notes, that bit, because of the rhythmic change. Just slow it down a little bit, get used to the picking pattern and synchronizing both left and right hand together, and then you can gradually speed that up as you go. The last note in the sequence will be the little finger now on the 3rd string of the 14th fret, and that will be with an upward picking direction. Because of the nature of the rhythm at that stage, you could actually pick that with a downward pick. For me personally, I've just found it more natural picking it with an upstroke, but that's entirely up to you. It's the last note in the sequence, and we're going to be using triplet crotchets at that point, so there's a little bit more space between the notes. So I'll play that last little group of notes, and you'll get an idea of the timing here as well. So 3 and a 4 and... Once you've picked the last note, we're going to add some vibrato. At the end of the demo, I do a little slide out on the 3rd string. So once I get roughly to around the 3rd or 4th fret, I just deaden the strings using a combination of the left and the right hand. So the note sort of fades away sort of more naturally. So let's have a listen to all of the notes we've covered so far up to that last note at the end. Okay, let's listen to that a little bit quicker. So let's have a little listen to the whole lick now at half speed, which will be 55 BPM with the backing music. And here it is at full speed. Thanks for watching, guys. If you got something out of this video, hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can keep updated on any future videos that I'll be releasing on my YouTube channel. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.